This is Runner by Deuker, and this is the start of the book. We're going to start in part 1, chapter 1. I've read about kids who hate their parents for being alcoholics. I've never understood that. It'd be like hating a wounded animal for being wounded, which makes no sense at all. Lots of times my dad made me mad. Lots of times he left me alone and lonely, but I never once hated him. Not even when he was at his rock bottom worst. Not even when I thought he was both a coward and a drunk. Nobody would ever call him a coward now, not with the way things ended. But talking about how things ended makes no sense without understanding how it all began. The hard part is knowing where to start. The stuff with my mother happened when I was in 6th grade, and my father got booted out of the army a couple of years before that. But those things are hazy to me. What's completely clear is this school year, beginning with September 11th. The anniversary of the terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon. School is always different on September 11th. This year, instead of going straight to class, we had an assembly first period. The choir sang patriotic songs. The principal gave a speech. The marching band played the Star Spangled Banner. In every class, even math class, teachers led boring discussions. Kids around me took turns talking about terrorism and Iraq and Osama bin Laden and Al Qaeda. It seemed like everybody had an opinion about something. Everybody but me. I didn't say a word in any of my morning classes. I just sat in the back and kept my mouth closed. But that was nothing new. It's what I'd been doing from the first day I entered Lincoln High, what I'd been doing from middle school even. I took whatever classes the counselors gave me, did whatever schoolwork I had to do to get a passing grade, and disappeared from campus as soon as the final bell rang. I was one of the ghost walkers in school. My last class was World Issues with Mr. Arnold. The first time I saw Arnold, I thought I was looking at my dad's long-lost twin brother. They're both in their 40s. They're both tall and thin. They both have deep-set brown eyes and graying beards. But then I looked closer and I saw all the differences. Arnold probably works out in the gym 7 days a week. His clothes are always clean. His hair and beard are always neatly trimmed. My dad has long, straggly hair and a stubbly beard. His clothes are dirty as his hair, and he's got the raspy voice of a smoker and the blotchy skin of a drunk. The only exercise he gets is walking to the Sloop Tavern, and he doesn't even do that much. Most days he just lies around the broken-down sailboat that we live on, drinking and smoking and reading the sports pages over and over. After I found my spot in the back of Arnold's classroom that day, I looked out the window. That wasn't new, but the flock of starlings that were attacking the lawn was. Their beaks would hammer down into the grass, and then they would gobble up whatever bug or worm they'd grabbed. They knew what they wanted, and they got it. Arnold pushed the classroom door open just as the bell rang. Behind him was some guy who didn't look much older than me. His face was bright and shiny, and he was wearing a crisply pressed army uniform. As soon as I saw him, I knew what was coming. A long talk about how rewarding it was to be in the army, serving America and defending freedom. I looked back at the birds. One really good thing about Arnold is that he just leaves you alone. You look out the window. It's okay with him, just so long as you don't bother other kids. So I planned on looking out the window for 55 minutes before finally going home. At first, Arnold's voice was like background noise. He was rattling on about how our guest was a recent graduate of Lincoln High, how a few of us might remember him, how brave and courageous he was. So please, ladies and gentlemen, let's give our attention to Mr. Brent Miller.